Hi parents and teachers, I am Manasi, founder of Manas Learning. I am a psychologist, special educator and a therapist, and I have ADHD. Please don't swipe away because everybody needs to know about ADHD. Post-pandemic, the instances of ADHD in children has increased tremendously. Previously, it used to be 11% of the population who had ADHD. Now it has increased to 20%. Every 5 in 1 child has ADHD. So what do we mean by ADHD? ADHD, you would have heard about it and you would have thought my child does not have it. Let us understand more about ADHD and how it affects our brains, how it impacts our lives, and why it is not a bad burden or a disability. ADHD means attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now let us understand why this happens. If we take our brain, and this is the front part of the brain, which is prefrontal cortex. And here are the executive functions of our brain. What are the executives of the function? Decision-making skills, judgment, is it right or wrong to do, impulse control or self-regulation, working memory, and planning and organization. All these come under the executive functions, which are controlled by this part of the brain. Now, what happens is we have neurotransmitters. I'm just giving one example to make you understand. I don't mean only this is what happens in an ADHD brain. Now, we have lot of small quantities of enzymes or chemicals that are produced for the messages from one neuron to pass to the other neuron. And these are called neurotransmitters. You might not know neurotransmitters, but you would have definitely heard about adrenaline rush, or you would have heard about dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. Like that, we have around 7 to 8 different types of neurotransmitters, which are required to pass the information from one neuron, that is one nerve cell, to the other nerve cell. And these are produced in very small, tiny, minute quantities in our brain. Now, for a person with ADHD, say our brain needs this level of dopamine, but the brain is only producing this level of dopamine. This gap is there. So for a person who has this gap, they are hyper. Hyper means doing everything more. The person who produces more than what is required, those people are hypo. Hypo means somebody who is little slow in doing everything. Now, hyperactivity is caused not because of more dopamine, but because of less dopamine. Now, when this dopamine is less, what the brain feels is like a constant thirst in summer. So you keep drinking water, but still, your thirst does not quench. So the brain has that kind of a feeling, and therefore it keeps instigating the person to do activities which will produce dopamine. Now, what are the activities which produce dopamine? All thrill-seeking activities. All thrill-seeking activities produce dopamine. If you tell no to the child and if he does it, then it produces dopamine. All adrenaline rush gives you dopamine. When you drink, when you smoke, drive your car fast or drive your bike fast, do a bungee jumping, roller coaster ride, all of these things will produce dopamine. So, exercise also produces dopamine. These are the things that the brain is craving dopamine. Therefore, it keeps instigating the child to do such activities which will give it an adrenaline rush, therefore produce dopamine for it to compensate this gap in the level that the brain requires. Now, you also have to understand when this constantly is happening, the prefrontal cortex, the executive function does not work appropriately for these people. It becomes very difficult for them to do the self-regulation. So to check, to have the proper judgment, if I do this, will I have any consequences? They will not be able to do that assessment. Again, why does this happen? Again, to understand that, say this is our brain, we can divide the brain into 3 parts or 4 parts. Let us divide the brain into 3 parts for easy understanding. Lower brain, middle brain, and higher brain. So higher brain is your high level of cognitive thinking, where you are able to think, you weigh pros and cons and take very good order thinking, you would have heard somewhere. So where there is lot of metacognition happening, there you have, that is higher brain. The middle brain is a little lower than it. The lower brain, what we are talking about the amygdala, the hippocampus. So these things control your emotions, and therefore what happens is the child is an emotional state. And as soon as your child has ADHD, 90% of the time, amygdala controls it. The moment you go to amygdala, what happens is that the person is in flight or fight mode. Is either there is only reaction, there is no thinking about it. So whatever things happen, the person is only reacting. They are not able to think and do things. They don't have the time space. We still don't know why it happens, but there is a cause that has been identified and the research is going on. Other than this, in the last few years, there has also been research which tells us that there are a lot of primitive reflexes. What are primitive reflexes? Primitive reflexes are reflexes that are developed in the womb for the child to come out of the mother's womb and survive for the first 1 year. So all these primitive reflexes get integrated before the first 12 months of a person's life. But what is happening is these primitive reflexes are not getting integrated, and which are also showing symptoms of ADHD. If a person has ADHD, then what we have to check is, first, are the primitive reflexes integrated? Second, is it hyperactivity or ADHD actually? Or is it parenting, tantrum, screen time? When we are talking about screen time, let us understand one very important thing. Does screen time actually affect brain in a negative way? There are a lot of longitudinal studies that have been done, but it has not exactly been proved scientifically. But even if it is not proved scientifically, I will give you a logic. So what is happening with the screen time? The child is getting constant engagement and instant gratification with a high rate of pixelation and audio visual experience that is engaging the brain. Now, when a child gets exposed to this level of engagement, where something is happening in front of their eyes all the time, and there is an audio input also for it, there is a video input also for it, there's a colorful impact, there are animations and all these things happening at a very young age, the brain is getting tuned to this kind of stimulation. Now, when the brain is tuned to this kind of stimulation, later you send this child to go to school where a teacher is talking and taking a lesson, then the same level of stimulation is not being provided by the other activities that the children are going through, or for that matter, adults also. Why are we all sitting on Instagram and YouTube shorts and, swiping ding ding? Why are we doing it? Just that satisfaction that it is engaging. Even if it is nonsensical, there is some time pass going on. You are not thinking. Your cognitive brain is not actively participating on it. So it gets its rest, and we are just swiping up and down right now. So children, being their brains are not fully developed, so they will get attracted to these things all the more. And because of the stimulation that is being provided to them at a very early age, another kind of stimulation is not satisfying for them, and therefore the engagement not happening, therefore causing attention problem. If they don't get this level of stimulation, they are not able to engage in that level of activity. And also it has become very common. When I was growing up, there was time where we would sit idle, where there would not be a TV because there were no programs on TV. Now, what program comes on TV also we are not willing to see. It is our selection. If you don't get it in Netflix, then you go to Prime. If you don't get it in Prime, you go to Hotstar. If you don't get it in Hotstar, you go to some other channel. What is being shown is not what we want to see. We have choice. So when the generation is changing with different levels of exposures, different types of stimulation, different choices being provided, we also have to provide them with that kind of support for them to process information. And coming back to the advantages and why I said ADHD is not a bad word. ADHD has a lot of problems. I speak very loudly most of the time because I have 1,000 thoughts going on in my head because of ADHD. and because of which, to prioritize my own thought, what I am trying to think, I have to say it out loudly so that I am not able to listen to my own thought process or inside my head which is going. So the cancellation of the background noise, getting distracted by what is happening here, left, right, center, around you, and concentrating and focusing on what is supposed to be focused on is very difficult. So that is where the attention component comes. Getting carried away, being overwhelmed, because again, every time the amygdala is in the position of taking over, it is not easy when your basic instincts are, overwhelming you, to ignore them and concentrate on, no, this is good for me, I should do this. That is very, very difficult for any person to do it. So that is another aspect of it. It is frustrating. It is not easy. At the same time, being organized, being on time is very difficult, because doing anything in routine, doing the same thing again and again every day does not give any thrill to anybody. And we are not thrill seekers, but it is like breathing to us. So if that thrill is not there for me, I cannot live, I cannot breathe. So understand in that direction. Advantages of ADHD is because being a neurodivergent, out of the box thinking, we get it like this. Coming up with a solution for any problem, we come up with like this. Multitasking, jujube, it is, such an easy thing for us. And the way we get distracted, in this distraction also, we can hyper focus. Nobody can hyper focus like us. So if we provide appropriate support and hone these skills, ADHD can become a super advantage. I have ADHD. I am able to function properly. Both my sons have ADHD. They are also able to function. My younger son has little problems sometimes, but elder son is doing very well. So it is all how we teach these coping techniques to people to manage ADHD. ADHD can be managed, and with proper support, ADHD can become a superpower. And today, we want people to be different from the crowd. ADHD can make and bring that difference to any person. So please don't discount a person with ADHD. Understand what they are going through. Provide them with appropriate support. And especially with children, don't think they are throwing a tantrum purposefully. Please understand, if your child has a meltdown, don't use the word tantrum. If your child is in a problem, he or she is not able to manage a particular situation, then please understand, please treat it similar to when you will treat your child when they have fever or stomach pain. Treat this in the same way and understand and support your child, your family members. ADHD, let's make it a superpower, not a disability or a disadvantage. For any kind of support for your children, please contact Manas Learning. Follow and share to people who might find it interesting and useful. Thank you.